Okay, cool.
Action.
Well, I'm going to start with this. This is a 2012
Coming at you very soon.
video about the course, as it was
I've got a half-life ticking and EKG readings that are beating the shore to dust. I've got a smartphone crystal ball, touch screen and all, but the screen won't touch. And it's this analog melody stuck in my head, and it's driving me insane, cause I got this chronic condition that'll suffer no remission, and I'm feeling that I ain't got time. Oh yeah. Show me an android heart, an AI mind, and a spirit in the machine. Show me an optimistic and futuristic prognosis and what it means. Help me to see the future between the sutures. Will it be good or bad, or will we recognize a thing when we all pull the pin? Will it resemble what we had? It's a singularity. Yeah, it's a singularity. Beyond event horizon, will we wisen up or find a kind of glory? What's the story of the singularity?
What you hear is not a test, it's a singularity. Well, there is thing, isn't it? To envision it, or does the future look rather dissonant? Robot style, but what about later? Will it be like Terminator? Or are we headed for utopia? Well, follow me and I'll show ya.
Voices from every field across the world are coming to ya. Attend the class or watch from home, it's coming to ya. Solez has the contacts and he's bringing them to ya. It's coming to ya, the future's coming to ya. So come to the future.
Technology and the future of medicine. LABMP 590.
So what I thought about this, we could do a new version, right, where we use the same audio track and some of the same images of me and Joel Crichton. But the people chose teaching aren't currently teaching in this course except for Osmer Zayan, who you'll meet in about a week and a half. And so you guys could pick who you would like to see in the new video. Could put in the images and update it to 2025. Anyway, that's just my thought about what we could do there. All right.
How many views does the song we just watched have? Just out of curiosity, like the video we just watched. Like how?
I think about 700. Yeah, but the most watched videos from the course are about 9,000 views. Yeah. But so this isn't like one of the most popular. All right. Full screen mode. All right. There we go. Okay. Technological singularity explained and promoted. Now you'll notice that a first part of this is sort of extracted from Marcus Hutter's PowerPoint and audio that I sent you, except that my slides are more brighter and uplifting, whereas it's sort of dark and depressing. Yeah. But anyway, you can compare the two. What used to happen in this lecture is, I'd be taking the students down into this rabbit hole, and they're so depressed, and then the second half kind of brings you back out. But yeah, anyway. So the objectives for today Understand that one should not fear complexity. Do not seek the one great truth. Your significant other is complex. A lot of things you value are complex. There can be many truths and they can be true concurrently. Understand the three main schools of belief about the singularity and the four main paths to the singularity. Those things are on the midterm. The midterm counts 20%, as you recall before. And the midterm is almost unlimited in time. You have from 2 to 450 for an exam that really only takes an hour. And yeah, and it's face-to-face either in this room or some other room. Like that's what the midterm is like. Okay, understand the history of the singularity? Yes?
Sorry, is this, so are all the like slides going to be posted on like eClass or Canvas?
So it's on Canvas, right? Because it has to be, right? Every course is being forced to move, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and our TAs are doing a very good job. Like the first day quiz is already there, and gradually they will move everything from eClass to Canvas, because that's the rule. Like, after this term, every course will have to be on Canvas, none will be on eClass. So that's the situation. Yeah. Okay, so understand the history of the singularity, Marcus Hutter's main ideas about it. Understand the challenge of promoting the singularity and the idea behind Future Day and Longevity Day. So just to be clear about Future Day is March 1st. And for those of you with photographic memory, etc., who remember everything I said last time, you know that I'm out of the country on March 1st. So I'm at the cutting edge of transplantation meeting in Scottsdale, Arizona. So ordinarily this talk promotes the idea that we're going to all plan what we're going to do on March 1st, but that's not really going to work this year because but you could still help us plan for future years, or we have this idea, as you'll see, of doing it at the art gallery downtown. It's kind of an Edmonton salon comparable to the Paris salon of the 1800s, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, but I don't think that's going to occur this year. It's beauty and complexity. The real world is complex. Perfect quadruple think with equipoise seemingly contradictory ideas can all be true. Can find a balance between them. The future transplantation, special interest of mine, is all these things: promotion of xenotransplantation, disease donation until there are no waiting lists, tolerance, tissue engineering, repair, stem cell creation of new organs. So it's not like you choose one of those things and say, okay, the future's going to be that. The future is a whole bunch of things, right? And that's not true for transplantation, it's true for many things. So Peter Diamandis, who founded the X Prize and Singularity University and so on, says, when faced with a choice between two desirable goals, choose both. Yeah, you may not have thought about that before. Okay, now this slide and the slide that follows it is on the exam. And it's amazing the number of students who don't remember about the croquet game. So in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, a world is confronted. It's much more organic than expected. The main difficulty Alice had was in managing her flamingo, describing the croquet game. In the technological singularity, we face the exact opposite of that. A world that is much less organic than expected could develop without us. Maybe it doesn't need us anymore, right? Yeah, so that's what we're facing in the technological singularity. There are three main schools of beliefs about the singularity: accelerating change, event horizon, intelligence explosion. And then there are four main paths getting there: create an artificial intelligence that exceeds human intelligence, build a human-computer interface that allows humans to go beyond their innate intelligence to a significant extent, also called the cybernetic singularity. Find ways in biology to improve upon natural human intellect, but that's slow, right? I mean, it's not like your brain is gonna get way smarter quickly. It's probably not gonna happen. And finally is the idea of the internet wakes up. So you wake up in the morning, go to your computer, starts talking to you, and you realize it knows everything about you and is taken over, right? Build large computer networks in which beyond human intelligence emerges. All these different variations on the belief in the singularity are reflected in the courses at the Singularity University. That is where the idea for this course began. And I started this course thinking that eventually every university would have a similar course, and that didn't happen, you know? So at the moment, this course is remarkably different from any you could take anywhere else. So the experience of attending Singularity University, one that grows and grows after completion of the course, and the associated memories become more vivid rather than less vivid with time on an exponential curve of their own. And that's really true. I still remember, like it was yesterday, that experience I had in 2010. And that's the same picture I showed you last time of me sticking out like a sore thumb there. I was very different from the other people who were taking that executive course. Ray Kurzweil's views and intellectual exploration are as broad as that of the university he founded. And when you hear somebody arguing with him as if he held narrow, rigid views, that's a false straw man argument. Most of his books derive from his answering questions people send him by email, right? So the guy is very open. He's a famous person who walks around without security. When I met him at the premiere of the movie The Singularity is Near, I had been eating chips. My hand was all this chip dust. I shook hands, and I was the only one wearing a tux. I mean, when you think about a movie premiere, think of everybody wearing a tux. But this was a different kind of movie, right? So, and he said I was the only one appropriately dressed, but I'm not sure that was really true. Yeah. Okay, so from here on, this is kind of an abstraction of that PowerPoint from Marcus Hutter. And so it's not all the slides because I think you'd go nuts. But you can watch them all with his voice narrating them, if you wish. Yeah. So the ancient history, in 1847, R. Thornton, the editor of the Expounder of Primitive Christianity, how's that for a name, wrote about the recent invention of the four-function mechanical calculator. Such machines by which the scholar may, by turning a crank, grind out the solution of a problem without the fatigue of mental application, would, by its introduction into schools, do incalculable injury. But who knows that such machines, when brought to greater perfection, may not think of a plan to remedy all their own defects and then grind out ideas beyond the ken of mortal mind. Yeah, so that's the whole idea of machines being smarter than we are. In 1863, 4 years after Darwin published On the Origin of the Species, Samuel Butler published a letter captioned Darwin Among the Machines. It compares human evolution to machine evolution, prophesizing half in jest that machines would eventually replace man in the supremacy of the earth. In the course of the ages, we shall find ourselves the inferior race. The letter raises many of the themes now being debated by proponents of the technological singularity. And you probably know in the last week, Sam Altman has said he's reached the singularity within OpenAI. He's not quite sure which side of it he's on, but yeah, so that's exciting. That he at least thinks that that's where he is. Marcus Hutter, the PowerPoint with audio, yeah, you can watch that on your own time. So the history, Werner Vinge died recently. A lot of these guys are in the modern era. But probably the best known one is Ray Kurzweil, who has a book actually in 2024 called The Singularity is Nearer. So he has a lot of books, and his name for you to know. Yeah, so that's the history, and we talked last time about Moore's Law, and people would expect, you've taken this course, that you would know what Moore's Law is. It's price performance of computing, and it predicts a point when machines are smarter than we are. It predicts that in 2045, whereas you realize in 2025 there are already examples, right, which you yourself can use, where, yeah, I think one of the clearest ones maybe is in poetry, right? So I don't know whether any of you write poetry or have any interest in poetry, but just think of me as a poet. I must write poetry about things like this course, right? So I'm writing about content nobody else is writing about, right? So I'm sort of protected against this, but numerous studies have now been done to show that humans prefer AI-generated poetry to human-generated poetry, even if they don't, and if they are asked, you know, do you think this is human or AI, they usually can't tell at all, but they clearly prefer the AI poetry. And that's true across all sorts of different, you know, cultures and so on. So I think for poets who are unlike me doing poetry about, you know, unusual subjects nobody else is writing about, if you're writing about the usual subjects of love and loss and all this kind of thing, yeah, it's really sad that you cannot compete with, you know, machines, even in 2025. Superintelligence by Moore's Law. So price performance of computing doubles approximately every year and a half. It's now been valid for 50 years. So it looks like it is going to still continue as long as there is demand for more computing. And yeah, I'm not going to go through all the details of this. You may be interested of how close we are to the human capability, which is 10 to the 16th flops per second. Yeah, we're probably already close to that now. So when you think about things like the Turing test and whether human intellect is equal to machine intellect, like the latest versions of the '01 model and the '03 model are thought to have an IQ of like 155 or higher. You know, Einstein was 160. Yeah, so it's getting up there. So what that means really, as I said last time, is this course is more relevant to you guys than it seemed like 10, 11, 12 years ago, where it seemed like we were really talking the long-range future that, you know, I have to wait a long time to see. And in a sense, we're already seeing it now. This is another way to look at this acceleration. Final phase here, epoch 6, is when the universe wakes up and is sort of entirely filled with computronium. In other words, everything is doing computer work. Yeah.
Do you think if we get to that point, we'd be able to reverse back? If we get to the epoch 6, we'd be able to go, okay, this is too much, and deter away from machines or AI?
Yeah, I think we have more agency than we think, and probably all of you. I may have said this last time, but like when I tell you that you're not passive victims of the future, you can actually shape it, that's really true. So it's not just you can shape it at the end, like if you don't like where you've gotten to at epoch 6, you can go backwards, that's true. But you can shape it right now. One consequence of this course, all it takes to do big things in the world, or the enabling thing, is your belief that you can do it, right? And so I'd like to sort of pass that on to you, that you can influence the way the world is shaped from here, rather than just waiting around to see what happens. Yeah, so that's really true. Is the singularity negotiable? These are Marcus Hutter's ideas about it. Maybe the singularity is already now unavoidable. It's sort of like a black hole. Politically, it's very difficult, but not impossible, to resist technology or its market forces. It would be similarly difficult to prevent AGI research, even more so to prevent the development of faster computers. Whether we are before, at, or beyond the reach of no return is also philosophically intricate, as it depends upon how much free will one attributes to people and society. Analogy 1, it has politics and global warming, and analogy 2 is the black hole analogy. Yes.
So what's AGI stand for?
Artificial General Intelligence. And then ASI is Artificial Super Intelligence. ASI is a step beyond AGI. Neither one of them is very well defined. You know that the relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI changes dramatically when OpenAI reaches AGI. They keep scrambling and sort of redefining what AGI means. Also, the Trump presidency, there's so many interest now in making it look like Trump was responsible for AGI. So if you consider the '01 and '03 models, which were pre-Trump, to be already AGI, that doesn't fit the mold as well as saying, no, it's all going to occur after January 20th. We'll see. Yeah. Now, this is sort of an interesting slide, the Library of Babel. When you think about the relationship between me and Marcus Hutter and you, the students in this class. So I will introduce you to lots of people that you'll probably meet by Zoom and so on. Marcus Hutter isn't one of them. The only time that we did a Zoom meeting where he talked to students, he demanded that I delete the video, not show it to anyone. Anyway, he really didn't enjoy that student encounter, which is very different from everybody else who's been helping me with this course. I'm not really sure why, but the other thing that was very interesting, I talked to him on the phone about this slide, because not only couldn't I understand it, but nobody else could understand it. And he was so frustrated that I was so stupid that I couldn't understand about the Library of Babel and so on. I guess the idea is that if you create a library that has all books, would also have all misprinted books, right? So, and it would be so large you couldn't index it, right? The task of indexing it would be beyond, the lifetime of the universe or something. So therefore, what this slide says is that a library with all books would have zero information. And I guess it's true, but the other thing that's kind of cool is how testy he got over the phone about this, because I couldn't really understand it. Yeah. But anyway, in a sense, I was working for all of you, and Jonathan Schaefer, the Dean of Science at the time, said that this PowerPoint, and particularly this slide, is like incredibly difficult. That's another thing. So if you do survive watching the whole PowerPoint with Marcus Hutter's audio, you would be kind of proud of that, because the former Dean of Science thought it was like the most incredibly difficult PowerPoint ever. It's not so hard to figure out what the slides say, but understanding the argument, right, how they got to that conclusion, that's the hard part. So anyway, the comparison each way, outsiders cannot witness a true intelligence. Singularity, expansion inward, outward, usually follows the way of least resistance. So the question here is whether it's going to be something that occurs internally or externally. What would it look like from the outside? What you need to know for the exam is what it sounds like. It sounds like white noise, right? If you're observing another group of people experiencing the singularity, so they're very much sped up and you're not, what it sounds like to you is white noise. So strict intelligence, singularity, is neither experienced by insiders nor by outsiders. Assuming recording technology does not break down, then a singularity seems more interesting for outsiders than insiders. If you're inside, you really don't notice it because you're speeding up, but so is everybody else. So you can really only notice it from the outside. On the other hand, insiders actively live the potential societal changes, while outsiders only passively observe them. So this idea of the refusenik, people who say, no, I'm not going to do it, is really interesting now, because we have all sorts of things we can refuse to take part in, and immense pressures to conform and so on. And they're not all in the technology realm, they're like in all realms at the moment. Yeah. Okay, so this is then that break point. I figured that if I kept going, you get deeply, deeply depressed. So I'm now going to talk about Future Day and Longevity Day, Diversity Day. Yeah, we've done all of those. And we have rather grand plans for a future day, and maybe you can take part in this. So let me just go through some of these slides. One thing that you know, probably, that's kind of sad, is that life expectancy both in Canada and the US has started to go down, right, because of the opioid epidemic and COVID and so on. So longevity has like more urgency to it than it used to, right? It used to just have a curve that was going up and it kept going up and up and up. And Yeah. So that is really shocking that this has happened. This is a picture of our first Future Day, March 1st, 2012. And Joel Crichton is right here. So he's a singer, songwriter, sort of improv, stand-up comic kind of guy who made that video with me. And he agreed to take the course. So he came and he sat in the seats with the students and actually took the course. And then we did the video about the course. And you may think I'm going to now tell you how this has grown and grown and grown, and now there are thousands, millions of people celebrating Future Day. But you probably already know that's not the case, because you probably never heard about Future Day before today. Yeah. So actually the first Future Day had more people celebrating it than any subsequent one. There were 16 celebrations around the world in the cities you see mentioned there. Yeah, but gradually most of those other cities have lost enthusiasm for Future Day. And now we're sort of down to Sydney, Australia, and Edmonton. Yeah. So you're living in one of the few places still celebrating Future Day. So this is Julie Lin Wong. She's a person I met at Singularity University. She's also been here, and she's experienced the art gallery. And we had the idea, you know, the Paris Salon in the 1800s, it's where sort of all the great minds met, right? The painters, the writers, the great intellectuals of the time all got together and talked and created collaborative work and stuff. We thought, why couldn't we do that in Edmonton? Yeah, so anyway, that's the idea. But it's not going to be March 1st, 2025, because I'm not going to be here on March 1st, 2025. But maybe 2026 or 2027, you guys could still take part. We don't have to do it like that. We could do something entirely different. You could propose a different way we could do Future Day. Now the Big Bang Theory, it was the most popular TV program here for a while. And so in a sense, if you want to think about promoting the ideas of this course, we're reaching very few people. As I said, the most views any of our videos get is 9,000, whereas, you know, the TV programs and so on. Guess I thought I had a slide. Yeah, there was a slide showing the actual numbers. Possibly that was considered to be too boring. But yeah, so those TV programs reach millions, of course. So we're in a whole different spectrum if we're only reaching thousands. So if we're going to make more of Future Day as a way of raising the profile of the ideas, and of course, how would we do it? And one of the ideas has to do with the Holi Festival. Do they have it in Sri Lanka, or do they celebrate Holi? Yeah. So it started in a very benign way, but it was difficult. So you can find brightly colored pigments from plants, and sprinkle them around and include everybody. And yeah, it's great. But it got harder and harder to do that. So those are non-toxic substances. If you use toxic substances like paints, then that's really easy, but they're irritating to the lungs and skin and so on. So that's mainly what we have now, is many of the pigments being shared during Holi have real medical consequences. You can get the idea of how unhealthy this would be. So we don't want to create unhealthy situations. Yeah, so this is the Crayola Bomb poem. So you'll realize as I read this, this is the 27th recorded reading for over the 13th. Yeah. So maybe we should develop a Crayola bomb as our next secret weapon, a happiness weapon, a beauty bomb, and every time a crisis developed, we would launch one, would explode high in the air, explode softly, and send thousands, millions of little parachutes in the air, floating down to Earth, boxes of Crayolas, and we wouldn't go cheap either. Boxes of 64 with a sharpener built right in, with silver and gold and copper and magenta and peach and lime and amber and umber and all the rest. And people would smile and get a funny look on their faces and cover the world with imagination. Or if that doesn't do it for you, you know about the Roomba robotic vacuum cleaner? If you do a time-lapse picture, this is what it looks like, somewhat colorful. If you've got a bit more cash to support something, then a hot air balloon festival is really colorful. Some of the balloons may catch fire and stuff when they hit high tension wires, and it costs a lot of money to make one and so on. Yeah, so. But we would also presumably need poetry and music, and yeah, we thought, for instance, of the windmills of your mind, round like a circle in a spiral, a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, on an ever-spinning reel like a snowball down a mountain, or a carnival balloon, a carousel that's turning, running rings around the moon, like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face, and the world is like an apple whirling silently in space like the circles you will find in the windmills of your mind. Then, you know, there's the bridge, the high-level bridge, and the lighting of it. And think of your experiences going over that bridge and seeing it lit, and there's usually a little sign indicating what they're celebrating, but you probably don't remember it. It hasn't been a terribly successful program. But on March 1st, 2015, we were celebrated this course, and we went over there and took pictures and everything. Yeah, it was really cool. And our colors were orange and green, as shown in this picture from the Edmonton Journal article about the course. Yeah, we could do that again if you wanted to. And now you probably think, oh, this is so boring, but no, this is the last slide. So anyway, yeah, your suggestions are greatly welcomed. How can we capture the imagination of the public, start everyone thinking about these matters? And really, it's not just that. It's like spreading optimism about the future, right? Because there's a lot of pessimism about the future, or just people who don't have a clue. They don't know what's going to happen, but they're worried, right? There's a lot of that. So if we can do a bit of healing by spreading the idea that we think the future can be not only okay, but like better than any future you could possibly imagine, yeah, that's worthwhile. And this is the required last slide, because Marcus Hutter, when I was on the phone with him, said we had to give you these references, yeah. So there they are, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of my formal talk today. Oh my goodness, it only took 42 minutes. So we have a lot of time to talk. Yeah, so just to give you an idea, think about how having memorable experiences influences your life, right? And I think what will happen next Tuesday is also like that, meeting a future astronaut who's going to space and so on. Now, not every teaching section is going to be like that, and not every session will be face-to-face. So one a week from today, you're sort of on your own to watch the video, and then Osmer Zion is back 10 days from now for the first of his 3 lectures on AI. Yeah, so the course is kind of a mixture of exotic, exciting experiences and mundane ones. I suppose every course is a bit like that, but yes.
So what's the structure of the next class? Is it going to be that she does like a presentation and then we ask
Yeah.
questions?
Yes, yes. But what I wanted to avoid is just the idea that it's just another lecture, because it may be the only time we see her this term, face to face. I mean, probably she'll be back in March, but we don't know that for sure. So, and she's a pretty unique resource, and also when you take the midterm, it'll be a lot like many other exams, except for Shauna's part, right? Because you know that you're putting more of yourself into her questions, and then she gives you like personalized, suggestions and critiques for what you've written. So as you're sitting there thinking, well, it's a very long time for an exam. My goodness, 2 hours, 50 minutes, do I need to stay in the room? Then you realize you can keep fine-tuning the Shauna part. And yeah, so in a sense, you end up with a more intimate relationship with her than anyone else teaching in the course, right? But it may be the only face-to-face encounter is next Tuesday. So that's why I want to kind of give you that idea, So it's not like you necessarily have multiple times to talk with her. You may have. But I think also, like, her life, it isn't just that she's trying to be mean to us by not providing guaranteed dates for the future, but her life is very uncertain, and she's constantly making choices between, doing this as opposed to that, or staying home, or flying off somewhere, and so on. So, and she's very active on social media, so I mean, you kind of experience that for yourself. So yeah, anyway. Any other questions? I think that the TAs will be back. I don't want you to feel, depressed. There were TAs last time. No, they're not. So, no, they'll come back. They also have choices of what to do. They don't have to come here, and so yeah. But they're a pretty dynamic group, right? If you guys do plan social events, the fact that they're a part of it will help it work, right? Because they're kind of that kind of people. So that's, I think that would be fun to do, and there's no hurry about fine-tuning it or doing any of the things right away. So what I said last time is that in recent years, every time I've talked about bringing back to life the student group for this course, the way to define a U of A student group is it has to have money in the bank, right? So student group, what's the money in the bank for? It's for social events or mixed events where you're both doing things related to the course, but also eating, drinking, being entertained. So we can do that. Often in recent years, a number of the students had kids, jobs, all sorts of other life entanglements. We're doing extra stuff like this, just didn't make any sense. But it seems like you guys are a bit freer. But I'm not sure about you. Maybe you have, entanglements that make us not, yeah. I don't know. But, yeah, no,
Like,
okay,
no.
yeah, okay. So, no, I think it would be fun to do something, and COVID's over, so we can, do a lot of things that were hard to do in recent years. I checked, and the Bullwhip guy is still out there, and he's bookable, Nikolai Smith, but he's just one of many options. Yeah. But, okay, any other questions? So, yes.
So, the first day quiz, are we supposed to do that on our own time, or?
Yes, whenever you want to. So I received one back, and so it's useful for me to know what your knowledge level already is, and that sort of thing. And it's useful to you to know what the midterm will be like, even though the midterm is open book. But this gives you a little idea of what some of the structure of it is. Shauna's part has you actually using Chat GPT to make a list of something that you've already created a list, and then you compare your list with Chat GPT's list and kind of reflect on the impact of this on your career and future life and so on. Yeah. Or at least that's what she did last time.
For the final exam, I read a research paper. Like, we choose the topic. Like, how does it
Right.
work?
But it can't be like a paper you've done for any other course.
Oh, yeah.
Because this course
Yeah.
is different. This course is about speculative things that don't exist yet, and about a rapidly accelerating technology landscape and existential risks, things that could kill us all. It's hard to know which ones to worry about and which ones not to, right? Yeah, so it has to have that flavor, sort of science fiction-y, rather than being based on, the things all around you that already exist. Yes.
So do we have to include proper references for it or stuff, or is it just mostly based on our discussion?
It's a bit flexible. Like, if you use graphics, it should be clear where they're from. But it doesn't have to be heavily annotated.
There doesn't have to be a requirement of minimum references, academic papers or anything, right?
No, I mean, the way the paper works, as I said last time, is you do a YouTube video. I take the transcript from that and send it to you with the timestamps, and you then edit and modify that to make the final paper. So it would mean that, to a certain extent, one could take your paper, be reading it while watching your video, and so it wouldn't have to be exactly the same, but if you skipped or left something out, that would be clear from the timestamps and so on. So it isn't ideal, but there's no way to get an ideal paper from students in the era of Chat GPT where everybody's happy, right? Including, it's not just that you want me to be happy and you to be happy, but the computers need to be happy too, right? So it's hard to really satisfy everybody. But we're doing the best we can. So any other questions? Last time I talked about the Le Mans student exchange research exchange Le Mans, France, and that was one part of last time's talk. I wasn't really sure it was real because I hadn't planned anything for 2025. But now we have. In the interim, a student associated with this course who's in nursing contacted me again and is actually going there. So if you decide to go there, there's at least one other student who is also going there. You could coordinate with that person. You don't have to do it, but yeah, and it's easy to talk to people who've had experience of going. The person in charge at that end is, I don't know if you want to say a little bit like me or opposite of me or something. She's the only physician that I know who's really a very talented artist. She does art shows that people actually come to in the art world, and yeah, it's really cool from that point of view. Yes.
So where do you say they're going?
What?
Where are they going, sorry?
It's Le Mans, France. There's a big race there. That's what the city's known for. Yeah.
So how does it work? Is it with the university or?
Yeah. So from a practical point of view, somebody pays for the airfare, and then you get, I think, one meal a day at the hospital, like lunch. Now, if you're efficient about lunch, you can just have a big lunch and probably you need other meals, right? Yeah, so you're kind of on your own for breakfast and for dinner, but the hospital's feeding you and providing you with a place to live that is not air conditioned, but most of the surrounding suites also, everybody's suffering along with you. And it can get hot in the summer. Yeah. So that, and sometimes in an unpredictable way, the person in charge there asks you over to her house for dinner and stuff like that. So that also happens, but it's not guaranteed. Yeah.
So I'm a little confused. Like, you have to apply for it before, or how do you get selected to go there?
Yeah, so you contact me, and then I contact the person there, and yeah, I mean, it took a few seconds this most recent time. I said is, this nursing student would have more practical skills to help with the research than most of the people I've sent thus far, And yeah, so I don't know why if that's why they accepted so quickly, but they just said, send your CV and the dates you want to come.
Oh, you can go whenever?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How long
How
will
long
be
is
the
it?
stay?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it can be short or long, like you could spend the whole summer there, or you could be there 2 weeks. 3 weeks is probably the shortest that anybody's been there. Yeah.
Sorry, one more question. Do you have to be in this course to go?
No, you can be a hanger-on, so, or a boyfriend or girlfriend. I don't know how you want to explain it, but somebody who knows a lot about the course because somebody else took it, right? Yeah. So that's the case. This nursing student didn't actually take the course, but is good friends with one of the TAs, the person who did most of the talking last time. So the university has an ambassadors program where people who are good at presenting themselves, maybe have symmetrical facial features and stuff like that, right? Yeah, they are used to promote the university. So these two guys, these two people, Hannah, who you met last time, and this person who's going, they are both in that program. So they met each other and talked about this course. Yeah, so you don't have to be in this course. And yeah, I don't know. And everything works. You can say, well, it must be more fun to go with somebody that you know, yes, but of course, you can also have a falling out with somebody that you know when it's very hot, right? You think you've got a great relationship with this person until you're in Paris and it's so damn hot. Yeah, so anyway. So no, some people have gone on their own and they were fine. It's a little bit hard to find the hospital and then Georgina Piccoli, the person running the program. Looks like you've taken a hard fall. No. That was cool though. They would have called 911 and everything. Yeah. Well, that's the first time that's ever happened. I did not fall. I did not fall. Yeah, I got this Snoopy watch face. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, and I guess further, it's a really it seemed when it began like having them pay for it was the worst torture in the world, because they would wait until the last minute to actually get you the ticket. Like they would say they were going to pay for everything, and that was true. But you're waiting and the summer's going by and you don't have the darn ticket. But I think they're getting a bit better about that. And this summer, I'm not paying for any of it. In the past, but it started with me paying for all the airfares. Then it was 50-50. And now this summer, they're paying for all the airfares. So all the money and the food is from them. Yeah. And
where do you stay? Because you said like it's
well, you stay in, I guess, apartments that the hospital owns around the hospital. Like there are these other buildings that are not the hospital, but that the hospital owns buildings, and that's where you end up staying. That's the deal. And if you want to know,
So,
yeah,
sorry, what exactly are you doing there? Are you like volunteering or researching or like what?
yeah, you're doing kidney medicine research, yeah, which is my main research interest.
Can I ask an unrelated? What you say you're a physician? What do you do?
Okay, so I am a kidney pathologist. I read like kidney biopsy slides. And back in the day, 33 years ago, I started the LABMP classification, which is now the worldwide standard for the way all transplant biopsies are read. So I did that in 1991. Yeah. So anyway. Does that answer your question? Yeah. And I also ran, like, it may seem to you like that's not very direct and hands-on, but for 7 years I ran an international post-earthquake disaster relief task force, where when an earthquake would occur, we'd send teams of physicians there. And actually, he has the reference, if you want the reference, yes.
So like, where did you do your studies at? Everything? Like your undergrad and everything, where did you study?
I see. Well, I went to Avoca Central School in Avoca, New York. There were 27 students in my class. 5 of them went to college, and 5 of the girls were pregnant at the time that we graduated. So it was kind of a primitive place. farming community. Yeah. And then I went to Oberlin College, liberal arts college in Ohio, and I went to the University of Rochester School of Medicine, Rochester, New York, and then I did my pathology training at Johns Hopkins, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah, and yeah.
Are you
That-
from the States?
What?
Were you born in the States? Are you from the
Yes,
States?
yes, I was born in Washington, D.C. I guess you can't get any more in the States than that. And, yeah, and so I started looking around at chairmanships, and I went to London, Ontario, which is kind of, I didn't think there were really places like this, but like a little town with just immense scandal and stuff. And my goodness, I could never live here. It's like everybody is doing everything with everybody else, and I just never, yeah. And I came here, and it seemed like such a simple, benign sort of world, yeah. So this was like way better than London, Ontario, yeah. So that's my story. So I came here in 1987. I've been here ever since. Yeah. But like, as I said last time, apparently the healthy longevity is a sort of microbiome thing, because my whole career I surrounded myself with young people that I was training. And the interesting thing about that from a technology point of view, think about pursuing that, like getting the details of everybody's microbiome and so on. You know, in 2025, it would be enormously expensive to do that. But the price is coming down very quickly. So we think within 4 years, 5 years, we'll be able to do that. And because I am as young as I am, at the age of 78, I'll still be around, and so on. So we're thinking and kind of planning the basics of that study, but not actually doing it until like 4 or 5 years from now, when the price of analyzing the microbiome and doing all the computation and so on comes down to something we can actually afford. And then, yeah, it'll be cool that we'll be able to see how my microbiome compares with that of all the people that I've trained over the years.
Do you think there's anything that like AI can't take over, or like will have trouble taking over, like in the near or I guess future, just in general?
Well, it depends upon what you mean by can't. Like, I think the thing that is going to continue and is very pleasurable already in your lives and will keep on going is a kind of ritual meeting with friends or family members, right? And so that's going to be more and more consequential as jobs fall away. We don't have jobs anymore. When you're meeting with this group of friends or family, you'll be talking about things, planning things. So it could change the world in its own way, right? Now, it would be hard for AI to do that in exactly the same way, because it doesn't have the same friendship bonds, right? So it could maybe do the same things that you're doing in that group of friends, but it wouldn't be the same, right? Because, you know, AI makes friends differently from the way you do. Yeah.
So like, there's like a very like random question, but let's say you're saying there's no jobs, right? So then would everyone have like the same access to resources, or how would that work? Because let's say like, there's like a vacation that only like 10 people can go to the island, but everyone wants to go to the island, then how would that work? Because if everyone has no jobs, then it's not like anyone's like richer than the other person, you know?
Well, I think the thing to balance, I don't know how many of you play video games and then how much of your time you spend on it and how satisfying it is, and whether after having done so you feel better or worse about yourself and stuff. But, so if virtual reality is as good as real reality and shareable with friends, then any experience that you want, you can have. And the other thing is also true, that the things you dream of that you could never have, you will be able to have, because the price of valuable things will come down to practically zero. So it depends upon going to that island, whether you want to be sure it's real, like can you smell the mud and all this sort of thing, right? Or would it be okay if it's a very, very high quality simulated experience, but just isn't really real, right?
I feel like going to like the beach in like virtual reality, like you can't like get the same like physical like experience.
Well, no, that I think it's getting better and better. Like, if you think what happens in terms of breathing and stuff when you dive underwater, I'm sure that can be simulated. All the things at the beach that you think can't be simulated, most of them probably can, right? And yeah, so, yeah.
No, I'm just gonna like talk about your question. I was just, because right now they're having an issue with, like, for example, self-driving cars being able to decide, like, for example, the whole like train situation where if you have like 5 of your family members on and the train's gonna hit them, do you,
Or like the trolley
yes,
question.
yeah, exactly, do you steer to hit the 100 people or whatever it may be? They're struggling to be able to kind of incorporate that into technology, into like, will Teslas be able to make the right decision, the moral
Like
decision?
ethics.
Yeah,
like
ethics.
ethics and morals.
So,
Okay.
do you think that would be possible in, like, for emotion?
Well, no, I think you can watch the videos we've already done about the trolley problem. It isn't real. I mean, in the sense that real experiences like that don't really happen. But also, if you think about nuance, being able to add complexity and consider the decision you make from all points of view, machines are already better at that than we are. You think about empathy, like for each of you, my ability to sort of get into your head and figure out what the world feels like for you, and then treat you in a way that completely respects that and so on. Machines are also getting better at that than humans are. So it's hard. I know it'd be nice if I could say yes, there's this that they'll never be able to do. But actually, why would you want that? Why don't you feel really, if you watch the news, or if you don't watch the news because you know how depressed you'd be if you watch the news, it's all because human leaders are not doing a good job at stewardship of the earth. It's almost a convincing argument that AI could do better at that. And particularly San Francisco AI, right? There's Elon Musk's AI, which is mean to women and trans. Yeah, and he calls it maximum truth-telling, but that's really what it means, being mean to women and trans and minorities and so on, right? So, but if you take this San Francisco liberal democratic bias AI, it's probably making decisions in a way that you would mostly approve of, and it's doing better than any world leader is now. Yeah, so I don't think you would necessarily want humans in charge. I guess there are two parts of it. Is that because you want to be in charge, not just humans? but this human, me. Okay, well, maybe if you demonstrate to us the skills that why we should put you in charge of the world. Yeah. But in general, and particularly if you're talking about the choice between an AI that you don't know that well and a human leader that you don't know all that well, it isn't that you can feel that you can influence the human leader more. You can probably influence the AI more because, like you saw in the movie Her, it has unlimited time. I mean, if it can maintain romantic relationships with like 500 men at the same time, then it can give you the feeling that it's completely paying attention to what you're saying while it's also doing that with lots of other people, right? Yeah. So it might be that eventually you would be able to accept that because it never fails, it never breaks, it never forgets what you're talking about or what you asked or whatever. It remembers everything you previously told it. It remembers your birthday and knows what you like, and yeah, it's better than any human friend maybe, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is that like in movies and everything like that, like technology was always like painted to be, it's gonna be like evil in the future. The idea that like one person would be able to run the technology, and if that person happens to be evil, they're able to do whatever they want with it, and others can't reverse it. That's the idea. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also going to be, in a micro sense, endlessly fine-tunable. It's true that you can't really influence the big picture, probably, but the local environment for yourself, you probably can, you know. And so and it's easier right now if you have a landlord or something and your room's too hot or too cold and you can't fix it. They may be angry when you contact them, whereas the AI will say, yeah, sure, what exact temperature is it like 22.574 degrees? And I'll just give you exactly what you want and I'll make it that temperature all the time. Yeah. So a lot of things will be possible through AI that would never be possible with humans, or that humans would never have, you know, the patience for. So, yeah.
When do you think we would have like robots who can like move like humans? Like I know like there's robots that can like do like very specific tasks, like for example like give food and stuff. But like I was just thinking, for example, like you're saying with let's say like a landlord, right? Let's say you have to like go and pick something in the house and it's like behind like a bed or something.
Right.
That's
right,
a
right.
very like human movement to like fix that. You know?
Yeah, no, I think that's coming soon. When you think of the phrase fluid movement,
Yeah.
right? Like we're in athlete, there's a robot now that actually uses fluid in the joints and has smoother interaction than the other robots. So I think it's just a matter of time. It's just like leaps of faith when people are talking and they jump from subject to subject. You would say, well, right now, probably AI would have an easier time if every sentence is logically connected to the next and there are no leaps of faith.
Yeah.
But eventually, AI will be better leaps of faith than humans are, and proud of it and so on. So if you want, it can do, you know, that better than humans can. Yes?
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Library of Babel, which I know you may not fully understand.
Right.
But is that like idea of having all of the information in the world, like in one area, or like a brain or a model, is that only applicable to humans? Like if you had all of this
No, I
information
think
in front of you-
it's a general thing. It probably doesn't have anything to do with humans. It's the idea of having a library that has everything in it. And because it would also have all misprinted books and books with printed in languages nobody reads anymore and stuff like that, right? So there would be so much garbage there that you couldn't find the valuable stuff. And there was so much stuff there that you couldn't ever catalog it, so you wouldn't know how to find things. Yeah, it's just an interesting paradox. You would think that the bigger a library gets, the more information it would always contain, right? And it's just the end of that. A massively big library you can't find anything in, so it has zero information. I think that's the idea.
So, oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
In relation to like AI, would that like be consistent? Because I believe that AI is just as good as the information you feed it. So if we were giving all of this intelligence to AI, would it make it like nonsensical, if that makes sense?
No. See, that isn't what AI is. So AI is able to be creative, to create things that have never existed before from existing things, just as we are. And so it's probably more capable of that than we are. So it's not just, you can only get out of AI what you put in. Just the same as that's not true of us. It isn't true that everything we say, you could find exactly those words in a book. That isn't true. We also say things that no book contains, and yet we got the information from mainly publicly available sources, right? So it's a similar situation with humans and with AI, yes.
And when we're asking a question like something medical related,
Right.
AI can give an answer which is like sometimes wrong. And when we divert them, like they will give another answer, but they are both rationalizing both answers. So what do you think about this rationalization? Like what is the basis of the rationalization of like two answers from AI?
Okay, but think about being creative. Or think about the friend you have that's the most fun to be with, right? Person you love to hear them talk and so on. They confabulate. They make up stories. They right? And that's what's fun about them. And creativity is a part of that too. You cannot be creative if you can't ever mess with the facts and so on. So the two are actually related. The errors that ChatGPT and other similar entities make are part of what makes them creative, but we will be able to separate it out so that their output will be much more reliable in the future. And think about all the unemployed fact checkers from Meta, from Facebook, from Instagram. What are they going to do now, right? Well, they can go and help, computers. So they can provide fact checking. That's really what you're talking about. I'm not just making a joke. I actually think that will happen. What happened, the decision that Mark Zuckerberg took about the fact checkers is going to create an opportunity for fact checkers somewhere else. Somebody says, well, Facebook got rid of them, but we have them, So we hired Facebook's fact checkers. Yeah. Other questions? Okay, so on Tuesday, have Shauna, and have a wonderful weekend. See you then. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.